William. Ato in Juba, Malatori, hey, yo, in Ping William. Ato in Benti, Walla Quatu, hey, wow, in Ping William. Ato in Malkal, Walla Pinyaram, in Ping William.
Thank you so much, the Lagos State Media Team, President Isaac Young Paul behind the scene, and to our viewers, welcome to Lagos State Media Beyond Boundaries. It has been a bit while without meeting you and also having conversation with the South Sudanese who are always at the front line to discuss the affairs of the country. And today we have decided to bring our usual guest, which is prominent activist Edmund Yakani, the CEO of CEPO, to come and brief the public on the three accounts. As we are all aware, the conflicts that are happening in our country on daily basis, actually. He will talk to us about the Pochalla situation currently, how the situations and what is happening there. And he will also brief us in regard to the Kalaman Mboro breach dispute in Wau between Balanda and Luo, and will also brief us on the issue of Ngok Twitch conflict. So we have had that conflict for the last 2 years, and up to now, we don't know what is happening. So Edmund Yakani will basically cover the three areas in our country today, in the corners of South Sudan, to brief us actually what is happening and what he thinks to be the way forward. Because Edmund Yakani is always up and down. He does not basically stay in Juba. And he will tell you now, he just came recently from Wow, and that is his work. He always moves from state to state, all 10 states of South Sudan, plus 3 administrative areas. He always go there to collect the data and also to know and get the first-hand information. That's what I can say now. And to request you once more, if you are watching us now, wherever you are, kindly share this live show so that many South Sudanese may get to hear the first-hand information from our able Edmund Yakani. And Edmund Yakani, thank you so much on behalf of Lagos State Media. We don't take it for granted. You always answer our calls at the shortest time possible to come and talk to the South Sudanese for the interest of our country. We will not have anything to reward you, but the South Sudan, the mother country, will always listen to you. The God that created you as a South Sudanese will always reward you. That's what I can say now, and I will give you a few minutes to give us your opening remark before we dive into our conversation. Remind you again, our viewers, we will not take long. I know it's late in Africa, it's morning hours in Australia, and it's now afternoon in North America. We will not take long, at least briefly 30 minutes or 35 minutes, and we will be done. Thank you so much. Edmund Yakani, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for hosting me. Maybe let me make a disclaimer from the beginning is that I was unable to use my internet using a laptop. I'm using now my phone. So maybe the images, the backgrounds may not be clear, but thank you for hosting me. As you said, it's a long time, and we hope that we can interact on these three issues in a very constructive and productive way, and we can offer options for finding a durable solution to this crisis. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Edmund. Yeah, kindly, Edmund, can you brief the public on the Pochalla situation currently? I remember it was not long ago, I think 2 weeks ago, that's where there was a serious conflict there. People were fighting among themselves, and government tried their best to stand up and try to resolve the conflict in that territory. And up to now, people have not heard anything yet, and you are here to brief us exactly what is happening in Pochalla. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pochalla crisis have subsided for a while, like not less than a month, I can say 2 to 3 weeks. The situation was a bit calm, but now the whole of last week, the tension that are emerging among the warring parties, and this is mainly SSPDF and then the armed youth. And now the armed youth, of course, you know, it is politically motivated by the former commissioner who lose his job and later on become a headache and doesn't want to seize power, threatening any incoming commissioner. And you're aware that it have involved level of losing lives of former commissioner assassinations, and even members of law enforcement agencies, military, national security were killed. So somehow, Pochalla is having already a confrontational situation where the armed youth, whom seem to be organized, but they didn't declare themselves as a movement, but they are confronting the SSPDF, and SPDF is confronting them. So right now, as we speak, the tension is very high. Clash is going on between the armed youth and then the SSPDF, but also there's a leveling from the side of Pochalla that they feel Murle youth who have been mobilized to go and fight proxy war in the situation. Of course, you can't rule out the Murle and the Anuak tension, which long time ago it exists after the establishment of Greater People Administrative Area. But I think the most is really the armed youth and the SSPDF confrontation, which I don't legitimize the Murle one. But of course, that's an accusation that was leveled against the Murle that are going on. So that is the situation of Pochalla, that active violence have resumed between the armed youth and the SSPDF. That is an unfortunate situation, and we're going to lose more lives as we speak now. Thank you. This is over Pochalla situation where we are now.
It's very unfortunate to hear such news, Edmund Yakani. As you have mentioned, that the crisis is about to resume and there could be a huge negative impact on both sides, the armed group youth and also the SSPDF. Kindly, what is the move from the Juba government, the central government, in regard to that situation?
You know, this particular situation in Pochalla, Juba is not so active. And by the way, this resumption of crisis in Pochalla came after 2 days after when the parliament summoned the concerned ministries of security and defense plus the governors to explain. Remember, a whole day parliament have to discuss an agenda of deadly violence in the country, either through revenge attacks, ambushes of people along main roads, or new fresh violence that break out between armed youth and then the army. So almost like all over the country. So the parliament delivered, after 2 days of deliberations, immediately a crisis broke off in Pochalla and then also in the Ngok and Twitch Dinkas, the Ngok Dinka and the Twitch Mayardit triangle. So it's you come to realize that already the armed groups, which we can name them as a youth, or they are not really formally having a name, have become more powerful and undermining the authorities. So Juba tried to use the parliament, and parliament tried to come into that, but I think parliament has been undermined. But also, I think within the defense and security institution, they fear that those youth are so badly armed that they can't be confronted easily. They need a proper mobilization of SSPDF to respond to them. But in terms of political statements and political warnings coming from top leaders of the country, completely is zero. There's a total silence from the leadership of the country with regards to the situation, because sometimes leadership, if they can issue statements and warnings, that may help as a preventive measure. But this situation of Pochalla, nothing is like that.
All right, Edmund Yakani, thank you for the information, and actually to confirm to the public that the situation is likely to resume, and there is no like a positive response from the national government. And you know, Edmund Yakani, kindly can you compare the armed youth group, which has been influenced politically or motivated by the former commissioner, and the active or the current commissioner, that is SSPDF? Do you think this armed group may overrun the SSPDF? I remember in all the countries in South Sudan, all of the countries, or the counties rather, they don't have that huge manpower in regard to the SSPDF. They always have few number, and then police and some community police and all this. So, and you remember the youth in that country, especially civilians, are well armed, and you always mention that. Kindly, can you give us evaluation on those two accounts?
You know, one of the miserable situations with the SSPDF is that the SSPDF forces in Pochalla are among the forgotten forces. These are people who are deployed there a long time ago with the poor infrastructure to Pochalla. They are forgotten. Even I was talking to some of them, even they were saying, look, a uniform, even uniform itself, boots to move their forgotten forces. And I remember I have one of my community member who is there, and I asked him, when were you there? I said, hey, I'm here since 2005. So imagine this is a forgotten force. That means that they're not really powerful enough to confront this armed youth. And that's why reinforcement become a problem for SSPDF in Pochalla, and that's what the only alternative Juba have from the headquarters in Belfam is to send gunships to subside these boys, because reinforcement infrastructure is not easy, mobility is not easy. Airdrops, you can't do that because the bushes are all full of this youth. So the only option you can help SSPDF is to send gunships that can go and clear the youth. And of course, the youth doesn't have that capacity or capability of ammunitions or arms that they can shut down a gunship from a far distance. They may have the RPGs and the PKMs, but this require proper, so like, really training for you to small light guns to
Yeah, sorry, our viewers, we have difficulties in with the network. I guess that is why there is a bit of cutting of his communication. Are you hearing me, Edmund Yakani?
I think can I take a disclaimer for our audience?
Yes, I think it's better now. With that, we can hear you.
I do hear you. Can I ask for?
Good. Yeah, do that. Do that, please. Go ahead. You can ask disclaimer from our viewers, so that you can mute your camera and move on with audio.
Put the video off so that at least I use audio for the audience, so yeah, at least they know that I'm not escaping not to be visible, but for us to manage the internet, let me put the video off.
Yeah, thank you, Edmund Yakani, for that. You can put it off, and our viewers will also understand. The most important thing is a message, and you are not someone that always shied away from facing the reality. So just because we need to serve the two at the go, we need to serve our customers, give them the information that they deserve, and also we need to compromise the situation of network. Yeah, thank you, Edmund.
So as I said, is that SSPDF is really weak in Pochalla.
Yes.
Hello, I muted my camera.
Go on. Yeah, go on, Mr. Edmond. Hello, Edmond. Sorry, our viewers. Edmond has dropped, and he might join us quickly. While we are waiting for him, let's try to maybe refresh our mind with a bit of music, either from Emmanuel Kembe or Nyanko Matiang. Okay, Edmond is already back.
Yeah. So am I clear now?
Yes, you are clear. Yeah.
Yeah. So just sorry, I want this disclaimer. I will mute the video, so let me go with the audio. In Pochalla, that the SPDF doesn't have that force, and the youth are well armed. And besides that, the youth in Pochalla have access to arms from Ethiopia more than even the SSPDF having access to arms from Juba. So that's the biggest shame that the SSPDF is facing on the ground in Pochalla. So infrastructure have contributed in weakening the SSPDF, no reinforcement, And the only reinforcement is by air, and also by air you can't reinforce them consistently because these youth are almost everywhere in the bush. If the plane comes down to a range where they can drop it down with RPGs or with PKM, that can happen. So that's a problem, and that's why if you see this armed youth are almost defeating the SSPDF. That's why our gunship last time was used. Now this resumption of the violence is going to be a bit tense, and that also it means it's going to challenge peace and stability in Pochalla. That's why we are demanding the armed youth in Pochalla of the former commissioner was for them to use dialogue as the best way of resolving their disputes, because fighting like that is really it will become as a revolutionary movement, which we don't want per now, as we have seen what we have faced since 2013 with the various armed groups, and how much have that jeopardized the growth of our society and the development within the human society that we have in South Sudan. So for me, that's a challenge, is that SSPDF is not a capacity of confronting the youth. But besides, also, if you see areas like Akobo, like Pibor, where SSPDF have reinforcement, still the youth were able to give them hard time. You remember in one time in the side of Pibor administrative area in Gumruk, SSPDF were flashed out by this armed youth. And several times, various leaders at level of the presidency, ministers, governors, have several times made a public statement that the armed youth are more armed, well equipped compared to the army. Actually, if the army mess up, they may wipe up the army in a location, and they have done several incidents where they have chased out army and have controlled army control areas. So I think that's a really challenge facing SSPDF in Pochalla. But of course, still Juba will do their level best to find a reinforcement, and that means gunship is going to be used, and that means a threat and a risk to issues of safety and security for human in Pochalla.
Thank you, Edmund, for that briefing. Actually, yeah. Kindly, can we move to the side of Kalaman Mboro bridge dispute in Wow? As you mentioned before, you came recently from Wow, and you might have full information on what is happening in that territory. As you know, the territorial dispute in our country is actually becoming a big concern now. And our government is so much concerned with the political issues rather than the community dispute. Kindly, can you highlight some of the things that are happening there and what trigger such dispute? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I've been in WOW for almost 2 weeks. And my big 2 weeks is to establish facts around a tension that is merging between community in the side of Ju River and the community in the side of the WOW. So you can say, like, for example, you can say Balanda or the rest of the other WOW tribes versus the Luo, which are in Ju River. There's a bridge built in northeast side of WOW town. And this bridge, the record I have is that this bridge was a contribution of Chinese president to South Sudan. And the Chinese president contributed to our president, Salva, and then Salva donated this bridge to be built in WOW. And when coming to WOW, the Council of Ministers at national level named the bridge in the name of one of a renowned, our elder there, who have a long history, and most of you knows the name, Clement Boro. So President, through Council of Ministers resolution, named the bridge as a Clement Boro Bridge. But the Luo say they don't want the name of the bridge to be Clement Boro because for them that have issues. And I'll later on share with you the politics around the naming. So they want to be named with a neutral name, either Peace Bridge, Freedom Bridge, but not Clement Boro Bridge. And these have a track record between the Luo and others. And this goes back to the days of Clement Boro and Joseph Garang. If you remember, under Nimeri's regime, these are very influential politicians that comes from one side there. And among the divides of the ethnic lines, Luo and then the other tribes being Balanda or being Ada Fertit of Western Baragazal state. So when the bridge was named, and that became a bit of tension, became a bit an issue. And as we speak now, already the level of friction between Luo and the communities of WOW is a bit tense. As we speak now, the youth from Luo have made a petition to the State Assembly of WOW And the speaker pick up the petition. The speaker met them, and they give the speaker 72 hours to give them feedback how they will react. So in the period before 72 hours, the house of the speaker was burned. I went personal to see the fire set on the house of the speaker in the kitchen. And some big stones were thrown to the speaker's house, like an attempt of assassination of the speaker. And this got me when I was live in Wow. I went to the compound myself. I saw the burning of the fire myself. And the youth who were involved in the fire, some of them were arrested by, and the leader was arrested by NSS, brought to Juba. But when the leader was arrested, the Luos arrested a non-Luo tribe who is working with UNMISS, with the United Nations Mission in Wow. They detained. As I speak with you now, 2 hours ago, before I spoke with the head of UN mission in Wow, who he say he walked to see the boy who was detained for 4 hours walking. Imagine. That's the head of mission of UN looking for his own staff was adopted by the Luo, and you have to walk like about 4 hours. And this adoption is done in an IO control territory, but of course, the tension of Clement region now is no longer between.
Apology once again, our viewers. Network, Juba network is always unstable. And for that matter, we will make sure we speed up with our show. Once he comes back, he will try to wrap it up, and also go to straight to the last questions. Meanwhile, let's wait for him with this Emmanuel Kembe song.
Yes, sorry, internet is disturbing really. The internet is disturbing so much.
Welcome back, Edmund Yakani. We understand the internet is not that stable currently, and I believe evening hours at this time, Juba, there are too many users at the same time. So sometimes
Exactly.
There is always congestion at this hour, unless you talk at the late hours when some people sleep, or even midday when others are busy with their office duties and hustling. Thank you. Actually, can you finish your remark in regard to the issue of Boro Bridge before we move to the last issue?
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
the Clement Boro Bridge is just on the naming of the bridge. And the naming of the bridge have again renewed the tension among the communities in Wow around the question of territorial control. And remember, this issue, my analysis, it have link to an outstanding issue which was not sorted out, is the transfer of Wow headquarters from Wow to an area called Bagari, which was rejected in 2012 until people lost life, over tens of lives of people were lost. and that resulted to the breakdown of violence in Western Ghazali State. So it's still even the issue of the naming of Clement Borough Bridge, it have link with the decision made by then that WOW headquarters should move out of WOW town to an area called Bagare. And the communities of WOW town were saying Bagare is an area where there's no services, no infrastructure. They are not anti-transfer of WOW headquarters, but they should be given the chance to be consulted, and there should be the one as the sons and daughters of WOW county to decide where their county should be. They need their county headquarters to be in a location where there's infrastructure. They believe Bagare it have no any services, no any infrastructure, no structures for government, for county to run, no water, no roads, no. So they want to go somewhere. But see, there's a tension that has merged between the communities of WOW County and the rest of the other communities, and specifically the issue of WOW and Ju River tension over the issue of power control and territorial control in Western Ghazali State. So I think this issue of the naming of the bridge is just a top up of that particular issue, or is another fuel that added to that particular issue hanging. So it's become tense. As I said right now, already the UN is involved. Its staff was kidnapped by the Luos. And as I said, the head of UNIMIS in Western Ghazali State walked 4 hours to see the staff. That means soon New York will speak over this issue. And this issue may result to sanctions on that. But also besides this tells you very clear how much people at the states level undermine decisions of the national government. Remember, the naming is decided in the Council of Ministers, where there's the sons and daughters of Western Ghazali State there. And the naming was named by His Excellency President, because initially they bridge, some people want to name the name of the president. The president said, no, I'm still alive, but we better recognize the efforts of Clement Borough, because he is somebody who have contributed in our history. Remember, he's among the first Sudanese who attended Juba conference, is the only learned and who was a bit harder on the system of the government in Sudan, but then when he was calling for either federal or confederation or independence of South Sudan from the rest of Sudan. So Clement Borough is somebody not new in the history of South Sudan. So, and president say yes, then the council of ministers approve it. But still you come to realize that politicians at the state level, at community level, undermines the decision of the council of ministers and the decision of the president. That really is a bit challenge. And that's why I appeal to His Excellency President to intervene in mitigating this issue of Clement Borough Bridge. Otherwise, elections is coming, WOW is not going to be peaceful, WOW is going to be tense, or even before we reach elections, WOW may break down into violence. So for me, that's the situation in WOW right now as we speak now. Already kidnapping is involved, as arrests are involved, tension is merging up simply because naming a bridge as in the name of Clement Borough become a problem. And as you are aware, Clement Borough is so many. And the other question you have that there are some locations in WOW Town which were named even by other people, like there's a football stadium called Isaac Stadium. And Isaac originally is a Dinka from Jongole, from Bor, because he stayed there for quite long and he was recognized of his efforts. A stadium was named, a football playground was named in his name, was not disputed. But why should the one of Clement Borough be disputed? Because it have linked with
Sorry, our viewers. It seems like Edmund has hanged and the internet also interference has also caught him up. I guess we can drop him and he will come in again once he refreshes his internet and his phones. Thank you so much, President Isaac, for dropping him. I think he will join us quickly. The internet is a bit hard on us today.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, the internet in Juba nowadays, and it's always like that, and especially the time that you have mentioned. It's really a very crooked time that everybody is at home, and most of them are
Exactly.
using the internet. Yeah,
That's
why
true.
it's
That's true.
very aggressive. to us.
Yeah.
And he was really pointing out some very important key element that the public is eager to understand. I heard some of the comments in Clubhouse. People have been talking about the bridge naming, especially the naming of Kalaman Boro. Is one of the heroes and great politicians in Barakazal by the time period of Jafar Mohammed Nimeri when he was the president. So I don't know if he will come back. He can touch base about the issue of a BA and Ngok, and then we may reorganize again to schedule him in to come and brief us more about these three key things. Here he comes. Let him come up and we will finalize his job, his interview. Otherwise, yeah. Welcome back, Yakani.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know, this internet disturbed. Should we proceed or we push it for tomorrow?
I think
Yeah,
we will.
We can push it for tomorrow if possible.
We can push it and look at when your convenience time, at least to use your laptop in your office, I guess. I think that will be a bit better.
Let's make it 5 tomorrow, and I will use my office internet.
All right, then. I will check it out tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, maybe you can just make your last remark before it break up, and then we can end the show.
Yeah, I think for me is that as the country is expecting a looming elections, communal violence emerging, and that is going to pose a threat to election process at the level of the states. This is another one. And of course, the parties that are signatory to the revitalized peace agreement are not in control of community decisions. Honestly, I've been moving across the country right now. New group is merging up in the name of Armed Youth, and you have seen now in Pochalla, in Twitchingok, and now in Wow. So there's a high chances that if we don't have a proper strategy to mitigate communal violence may undermine the elections. That's really my closing remark.
Yeah, thank you so much, Edmund Yakani. To our viewers, we deeply apologize on behalf of Lagos State Media. That was not our intention. Our intention was actually for him to brief the public in regard to the three issues which we have displayed on the screen. And basically, the reason why we are doing this is to inform the country and the decision makers to know that there are some loopholes that need government attention before we prepare ourselves for general elections next year. Otherwise, if these loopholes continue like in the way they are, then we will no longer be having elections by next year. And if we don't have elections, then what next? So these are the things that we always want to let the public know and inform the rightful decision makers on what to do and what actually to be done at what particular time in order to move the country forward. Edmund Yakani, thank you so much for always responding to our call. We'll reschedule it again at the convenient time. Our viewers, we apologize once again. Just keep following Lagos State Media, and in the case of anything, we will update you. Thank you so much, Lagos State Media team, Isaac Tiampol. Thank you so much. It is now morning hours in Australia, and you did not sleep for the last 3 days. May God be with you, and may God give you peace of mind to sleep. And to the rest of the team, Abraham Adin Majak, Bolmakur, Agardema Bok, thank you so much. May God be with you. May God bless us Sudan, and may God bless Lagos State Media. Thank you.
Bolo makur kumajong makur abere mati bibor in Bing William ato in Juba Malatori Ayambio in Bing William ato in Benti wala kwaju wow in Bing William ato in Malkal wala Pinyaram in Bing William